Greetings and welcome into the Sports Shuffle. We are going into the fantasy football playoffs. It's week 15, and I am flying Ryan Gophers along with.
Along with Tampa Motormouth Joel Verone. I know what it's like. I've been getting back into doing a little Be Live and trying to test things. So I know what it's like when you press the button and you're going, where's the button? Wait for the button.
Wait for the countdown. Wait for the countdown. It's a 3-second countdown, but it takes 45 seconds to pop up. It's fine. It's still better than what Indianapolis is going
Oh
through
my
right
good
now.
God, because it is crazy, right? Because of course, that's where we have to start. Because normally this is something you tend to do in the recaps, but holy effing bleep. Because all of a sudden, Daniel Jones, of course, flying, goes down, and I hope, as I put in my recap, I hope Perna's curse wheel has extra security protection. I hope it does,
Yeah.
because holy, you had Daniel Jones, who was already playing on a freaking broken leg, suffer an Achilles tendon tear
Mhm.
on the healthy leg, the leg that was okay, because he was pissed off, threw the helmet down, immediately knew something was bad. So now the question is, well, who are the Colts going to have out at quarterback for this weekend? You look at who the backup is. They're dealing with an injury, and you look at Brett Rippon. You're wondering why he's on the team, and you're going, "Well, wait, isn't there Anthony Richardson?" Oh no, because in a pre-warm up, he managed to get an injury in pre-warm up, and he's now on the injured reserve. So that leaves the door open for one 44-year-old Philip freaking Rivers, who retired from football in 20 freaking 20. What I have to ask you, was your initial thought, other than holy, when you first saw this story busting out, Ryan?
My first thought was, well, that's not going to help. He hasn't played in 5 years. He's 44 years old. I saw a video of like his warm up Thursday. I'm like, that doesn't look smooth. It doesn't look like he's in rhythm. Remember the last time we saw him on a football field? If you went to a game, you had to social distance and wear a mask. I know COVID is something you don't usually talk about anymore.
Yes,
It's kind of
remember COVID when they were doing updates about darts.
yeah, ancient history at this point. It feels like, but yeah, that's the last time we saw Philip Rivers, and he was bad then. So
And
now you've got him coming off the couch. He hasn't played in 5 years. He's going to have to try and get all the way up to speed with the Colts, the current regime, the current playbook, and he's facing arguably a top three defense in the NFL. It's not going to go well.
yeah, and for the Colts, you have to. I know we normally don't talk money line and all that stuff, but given the situation, what do you think the Indianapolis Colts, or rather the Seattle Seahawks, are favorites at? What do you think the money
I
line is?
heard the money line is going to be like 17, 1800. I bet. And I know
Oh,
this is a two
I meant
touchdown
spread.
spread.
I meant
I
spread.
know I know it's at least a 2 touchdown spread. I heard that
Had a
today.
spread. Brain fart. But
Yeah, 14 and a half is what I heard. It could be up from there.
pretty close.
Like I said,
13.5.
I had heard this one today was right around 2 touchdowns because they
13.
were talking about the Daniel Jones going to Philip Rivers and what the impact is. They had mentioned, yeah, this is basically a 2 touchdown favorite for Seattle, and I don't think the Colts cover.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, we're not doing our picks today, but I don't think the Colts cover 13 and a half. So obviously I'm not taking them to win the game.
Minus 950 for the money line, over and under of 42.5, and you wonder if it's going to go up or down at all
If it
for our
hits
picks.
the over, it's gonna have to be Seattle putting up at least 35.
You want to know what their ATS records are?
I mean, it doesn't much matter since it is Philip Rivers and not Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the Colts are better against the spread than we realize, and the Seahawks are probably 9 or 10 wins against the spread because they've been really good all year.
Colts 7-6, Seattle Seahawks 10-3
Yeah.
ATS.
So we look at that, and then you go, well, it's also a 45-year-old quarterback who's been on the couch for 5 years. When he was asked, I guess, to come back a couple years ago, he's like, "Yeah, I've put on some weight, and I might be in a wheelchair on Monday, but if I had to play, I could play." And it's like that's not the ringing term of endearment, and I don't feel reassured, Philip. Um,
Yeah,
but
because you look in the crystal ball at the remaining games
it's
for the
bad.
Colts. So I'm considering the crystal ball, and I'm curious, Ryan, for these games, if you
0 and
think they
4.
have
They're
any
going 0 and 4.
flipping chance, as you have
I know 3 of the games at
Seahawks,
Seattle, they're losing. San
Seahawks,
Francisco, they're losing. And I know they
49ers,
closed. Yeah, they're losing. And I think they
Jaguars.
closed against Houston. They're not beating Jacksonville. They're not beating Houston.
Yeah, because it's like it's brutal. Because you have the Texans at the final week was a brutal defense. We just saw that against the Chiefs and pretty much end their flipping dynasty. Jaguars have been playing excellent football of
Mhm.
late. 49ers smoke and mirrors just somehow with all the injuries. They just keep on winning, and the Seahawks have definitely bounced back from their slight hiccup.
I mean, the Seahawks dominated the Falcons. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. I I can't see a way the Colts rebound. I don't see a way where the Colts finish any better than 9-8. Maybe they pull off a game against Jacksonville or Houston because neither one of those teams has nothing to play for. Hypothetically, Jacksonville now on top of the division, they can win the next two. Houston can lose their next two, and the division could be decided. Uh, in week 17, it's possible. And they don't need to play their starters. Maybe they say, hey, Brian Thomas Jr., hey, Travis Etienne, we're going to sit you. We're not going to play as heavily. We're going to get ready for the postseason, and then they can win a game. But that's about all I can see happening. I don't see this going well. They're not beating Seattle. That defense is too good. I think the offense for San Francisco is too good. You got to remember, the defense for the Colts is beat up. No Sauce Gardner still. They wasted 2 first-round picks at this point to try and go all in this season, and that looks like a catastrophic mistake at this point. Not a bad idea at the time, but it has not played out to their advantage. I got to think the Colts are they're in a world of hurt because I think Daniel Jones will be ready for the start of next season. We saw Aaron Rodgers try and get back in the same year. He hurt it in week 1, didn't quite happen because the Jets were the Jets and they were terrible. I think he'll be fine for week 1. I've heard a lot of people, well, he got hurt end of the season, so he's not going to be ready for it. It's not a 12-month injury. I think it's like a 6 to 9 month injury, and that puts him on pace for the start of next year. He is a free agent, so I don't know if the Colts are going to sign him. I don't know if he's going to chase the biggest paycheck he can. Daniel Jones is going to have to make some decisions. I think he was happy with Indianapolis. Indianapolis was happy with him. So hopefully the Colts will say, hey, we'll give you a 2 or 3 year deal, 30 to 35 million a year. You're happy. We're happy. We move forward. But only time will tell. That's a discussion for down the line.
Because right now, you look at that AFC seeds stacked. Chargers, we just saw what they did. Absolutely freaking manhandle the Philadelphia Eagles, even though, oh boy, Justin Herbert had himself a bit of a rough night. Then you had the
Better than
Steel.
Hurts.
Then you had the Steelers. All of a sudden, they seem to be looking a little bit more dangerous, but they're up and down. I don't know how much you can trust them.
Yeah, we'll talk about the playoff picture in full here in a second.
Yeah, then you have the Bills, definitely up rather than down. Jaguars, dangerous. Texans, nobody wants to face that defense.
No.
Nobody. Patriots, flipping dangerous. And talking about defense, got to talk about the number 1 seed. Got to talk about the Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos and Patriots 1-2. Broncos on top with a tiebreaker, 11-2 each. Both have played a very soft schedule, but you can't worry about your schedule. You got to win the games that are in front of you. Jacksonville currently the 3 seed at 9-4 on first place in the AFC South. The Steelers, by way of the win over Baltimore, jumped to 7-6 and fourth overall, first in the AFC North. Chargers and Bills 5-6 at 9-4, and the Texans with a win last week, moving to the 7 seed at 8-5. The Colts right now, they are the 8 seed at 8-5, but I'm going to say the next 3 teams mentioned have a very good chance of finishing ahead of the Colts. That's the Ravens at 6-7, the Chiefs at 6-7, and the Dolphins at 6-7, who are surging, while the other 2 in front of them at 6-7 are struggling. The Chiefs, I think there's a discussion we had. The Bengals not eliminated at 4-9. They're at 12 seed. The Jets, the Browns, the Raiders, and the Titans all eliminated. In the NFC, the Falcons, Cardinals, Saints, Commanders, and Giants are all eliminated as well. The Rams, by way of the Bears loss, take back the number one seed. They play the Lions this week. That's going to be a fun game. The Packers.
You have the Grossi Perna Bowl, baby.
Yeah, if you're a fan of those two guys on YouTube, which we both are, it's a pretty exciting week. They have their animosity with their teams. Obviously, great friends off the field, so not serious. We'll talk about maybe a little bit of the curse wheel drama as well down the line. Packers, though, with the win over the Bears, they've taken over the number two seed, nine
Their
three and one.
offense suddenly looking lethal.
That Bears defense is not very good. And that's a big factor in this one. Eagles, even though they lost, they are still 8-5 because the Bucks also
Yeah,
lost
did you
on
hear?
Sunday.
Did you hear? The positivity bunny went 0-1, and now is out of the locker room.
Yeah, those kind of stupid things, you have to kind of get them in. They have to work. Like the Sharks have this like weird metal shark jaw necklace that when the Sharks win, the best player, the MVP of the game that the Sharks nominate, they have to go talk to the media with the necklace shirtless and talk to the media with this giant necklace on. It works because they started winning right away. If you don't win for 4, 5, 6, 12 games, whatever it ends up being before you wear that, that doesn't take on. They started winning right away. Bucks with the loss, they are still leading the NFC South by the skin of their
Oh
teeth at 7-6.
boy, you can imagine on social media just the fire bowls chants have been growing because you look, David Canal is just doing things out in Carolina. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, they're keeping pace with the Bucks, and Liam Cohen has revived the
Yeah.
Jaguars out in Duval.
Well, we see it with the Lions when you lose your coordinators, the Eagles when you lose your coordinators. It's hard to recover.
Yeah, because the
Both the
Eagles, a
last two
lot of
times,
people are saying this is
not just this time.
2023 2.0 redo.
This was the whole point of me taking the Chargers last week, which was right, was I saw the writing on the wall. The Eagles look like the team we saw 2 years ago after they lost Gannon and Steichen.
You know who
In
didn't
the,
have a good night? Sad McConkey.
yeah, he was awful. Anyways, back to the playoff rankings. The Seahawks are arguably the best team in the NFC. They're right now the 5 seed by way of the tiebreaker with the Rams. I don't envy whoever gets the 4 seed, and the Bucks are only right now. But the way the Eagles are trending, don't be
Bucks
surprised if
are
they drop.
getting some reinforcements. Evans and McMillan on the horizon. Evans may even play tomorrow night.
Sounds like they've been activated. Bull said Evans
And
has
they're
done everything
needed.
he's got to
Oh
do.
boy, they are needed badly.
I hope he's back. I've got T. Higgins in a dynasty league where I need him. Obviously, it's a playoff week. You got to win.
Well, yeah,
T.
I mean,
Higgins with the concussion, he's probably not playing.
he may have had several concussions. So, are you thinking it's going to be a 1 week hiatus? Are we looking at a CJ Stroud type situation? I mean, it's critical to
Well,
figure out if you have to do a pivot, or is he going to be available in later playoff weeks for fantasy
he's.
playoff purposes?
It's too early to say right now because it is only Wednesday. We have plenty of time to evaluate this going forward. Now, where I've got Mike Evans, he's going in the lineup if he plays because he has to.
Yeah, just remember the Sun God Amon-Ra St. Brown. See previous.
Yeah. T. Higgins, concussion, doing limited work on Wednesday. That's pretty encouraging for 3 days later. I do think he will come back this season, especially while the Bengals have slim opportunity to make the playoffs. I think if they win out, they have a decently possible path, not easy by any stretch of the imagination. Right now, they have a 5% chance with a win over Baltimore of getting the playoffs.
Something's
And they can
worse
really,
than the Chiefs' chances.
well, the Chiefs with a win this week would be at 19%, so it's not that bad. But the win over Baltimore helps quite a bit. Anyways, I think we'll be back. Rest of the standings, though, in the NFC, the Niners move up to the 6th seed at 9-4. The Bears drop from 1 to 7. Not that we've heard that at all this week. Also at 9-4. Lions at 8-5, just on the outside looking in, with the Panthers at 7-6. The Cowboys 6-1, and the Vikings with the turnaround of all turnarounds in 1 week. And I don't think I believe in JJ McCarthy anymore than I did beforehand. But they get a win. They hold on to their playoff aspirations at 5-8 as the 11th seed.
Yeah, because you just said unbelievable with this. The Vikings going from actually being shut out to shutting out. You're just like, huh?
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about some of the news. Matthew Golden is going to be questionable. He has not been playing well. Jaden Reed questionable. I mean, a lot of people are today. Anything concrete? Mike
Yeah,
Evans
it's
went from IR to questionable. He is activated off the IR along with Jalen McMillan. That is a big boost for the Raiders, though. Geno Smith unlikely to start Sunday, which means
how
Kenny
about
Pickett.
Kenny Pickett? The charge of Kenny Pickett for next week. Oh boy,
Kenny
Raiders.
Pickett in line to start against the team he won the Super Bowl with, the Philadelphia Eagles. Drake London has been ruled out for Week 15. He's been dealing with knee
That's
injury for
good news
several weeks.
for my Buccos tomorrow
Very
night
good news for your Bucks. Um,
because he is a definite favorite target for one Captain Kirk
he's
Cousins.
he's a great wide receiver. He would be a dangerous player on the field. Unfortunately for the Falcons, they will not have him once again. I have him in a couple places where I've got a bye week, so rest up, and we'll see you in Week 16 is my hope. Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields did not practice again. It was
Who's
quarterback
going to
Brady
be
Cook.
the quarterback for the Jets? Is it Justin Fields or they have to go somewhere else?
It's right now. Brady Cook, the quarterback who took over last week after Tyrod
Might
Taylor left the
want to
game.
sit Anaheim, Mitchell, and Mitchie. Oh boy.
Yeah, he got all the first team reps. He wasn't good against the Dolphins. I don't think he's going to be good this week. Again, the Commanders, Jaden
How
Daniels
about
left
your
elbow,
Dolphins? Almost 500.
and with a game against Pittsburgh that can get them there. That's a very winnable game. You look at the rest of the schedule. No offense to your Bucks, but that's probably one of the tougher matchups on the schedule the rest of the way. And the way they're playing
Oh
right
yeah,
now, it's not something the Dolphins fans are worried about like they would have been 6 weeks ago.
agreed. I can't look at the Falcons and go, man, that's a tough matchup. I mean, you don't ever want to look past the Falcons because you got Bijan, you got Tyler Algier, you got Kyle Pitts. I mean, you definitely still have some serious good pieces out there, but you just can't take the Falcons seriously because once again, you never know week to week. Is it the
Yeah.
good Falcons? Is it the bad Falcons? And we've been seeing a lot of bad Falcons recently.
The Dolphins' rest of the season is very manageable. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, and then New England Week 18, where New England might have nothing to play for. So 10-7. I mean, John Gruden said something about the Dolphins making a charge for the playoffs because the back half of the schedule was so weak.
This year, 2025,
Hey,
crazier crap has happened.
the Dolphins have won. I think it's 4 in a row now. They have 4 games left. 10-7. Who knows if that's good enough? I don't think it will be, but they are right there. Jaden Daniels is going to miss the next game. He is out with that left elbow
Yeah,
re-injury
he's
or
he's he's back in the
re-aggravation.
game. He's recovering from the injury, and he's gone.
He gone. And then Trey Benson's season is over. He was not activated from IR today. That is the end of his 21-day window from the
Sounds like
IR.
it's a
So
Michael Wilson game again for the
Michael
Cardinals.
Wilson and Bam Knight, and yeah, the Cardinals are probably going to get clapped once again. I think they're a massive
Did they
underdog.
already get clapped this week?
Yeah, we'll talk about that one here
Yeah.
shortly. The Cardinals are facing the Houston Texans defense.
Yeah, they're gonna get clapped.
All right, let's go to some of the clappings from week 14.
Of course,
We already
real
talked.
quickly, I have to bring up some of my losers in a very quick
Oh,
look
yeah.
around. Definitely have to put the Browns there with that very questionable 2-minute drill play call.
Dude.
My Bucks losing to the Saints and one of the biggest WTF losses of the whole effing year. What about the Chiefs? How much of that loss can you blame on Travis Kelsey? Holy crap! And of course, yeah, Jalen Hurts and that game on Monday.
Jalen Hurts. If that game doesn't go to overtime, I have another team on a bye this week. It was him and Goddard and Kamani Vidal going against me. The last completion to Goddard got him ahead of me. Then he throws the pick, and I thought, oh my God, he felt. No, he beat me by a point.
That was that whole crazy play that should have been set to Yakety Sax.
Oh, that was a different play. That was insane. Too.
Okay, that was the other.
We'll talk about that in some detail when we get to that game. You've got winners, I'm guessing, as well?
No, just pretty
Just
much
losers?
Just losers and an honorable mention. Are they? Because I know this is college football and this isn't NFL, but
Notre Dame.
yeah, Notre Dame.
Didn't deserve it.
I'm curious. Are you in favor of them boycotting the Pop Tart
No.
Bowl because they weren't
No.
put in, or is this a way over the top,
I
overrated.
understand why they do it because ESPN gets a lot of money from the broadcasting rights, and ESPN is in bed with the ACC and all these conferences. And the ACC kind of did push Miami to get in the playoff. Now, for those of you who don't understand how the playoff works, automatic qualifiers are a
I'm not
thing.
even
That's
sure if the
why
playoffs understand how the playoffs work.
Well, that's why Tulane and James Madison are in the playoffs. They're automatic qualifiers. They had to be
In
there. They won their
Alabama,
conference. Alabama, that to me is the question between Alabama and Notre Dame. If you said, hey, Alabama, they lost to Florida State to start the season, and Florida State ended up being a steaming pile of dog crap. And Notre Dame's lost to Miami and Texas Tech, I believe it was. I know it was one of the Texas schools that's in the playoffs. Um, I think that's where I would put Notre Dame in. But when it came down to, okay, the last at large team essentially was either Notre Dame or Miami. When BYU got embarrassed in the conference championship game, it was Notre Dame, BYU, and Miami in the rankings. Well, they put them next to each other. And they said beforehand, like, look, if BYU bows out of this thing, we got to take the head to head into account. Miami beat Notre Dame. At the end of the day, I think Miami should be in just on that alone. You beat the team, you're both on the bubble. It's not Indiana, Ohio State, where Indiana won by 3 due to a shanked kick in the Big Ten championship game, and Ohio State's still probably the top one or two teams in the country either way. You're not kicking them out because of one bad game, but you're down the rankings. You had a softer schedule. You look at the blind resume. Notre Dame was beaten by Miami on every single metric. It looked like I'm not a. I know I'm a Dolphins fan. I'm no wearing a Dolphins jersey. I'm not a Carolina Hurricanes, Miami Hurricanes fan, or Carolina Hurricanes for what it's worth. I went to
the hockey.
USF. Yeah, I went to USF. I am a USF bull. I was raised in a Buckeyes household, so Ohio State, USF, those are two teams I really follow. I could give a crap if Miami was in or out, but objectively, I think they deserve to get in. Notre Dame, I understand the money side of things, saying we don't need your stupid money to go to this garbage bowl game. We don't want ESPN to get kickback, but they're going after the ACC commissioner because they were pushing Miami to get in the playoff. And then you've got the Big 12 commissioner saying they're being ridiculous and they need to grow up, basically. It's become a problem in a lot of ways. And I do think that this playoff system is going to have to be tweaked because James Madison's going to get destroyed by Oregon, right? Like, there's no way James Madison, school that if I asked you right now to tell me what state James Madison is in, you could tell me. And even if you could tell me, I couldn't confirm it because I don't know where it is either.
Okay,
I'd guess Virginia.
follow up question and point. We've already done this now several times, and every single season, Ryan, it seemed to be the same old, same old. You have the
James
selection,
Madison is in Virginia. I was right.
you have selection, you have the reveal, and you have the angst, and then you have the screaming debate back and forth. Why is this school in? Why was this school not put in? And they seem to get some of it right and some of it wrong every single year, no matter how it's tweaked, how it's changed. If they add more teams, we still are at the same point in the
Yeah.
same place.
Yeah, when it was the BCS, whoever's the number 3 team said, "Oh, I should be in there. I was better than that team. I should get a chance in the national title." When they went to a 4-team playoff, I remember TCU got left out one year because I think it was Alabama or Oklahoma or somebody jumped them the last week of the season. They said we should be in there. We were better than that team. And then we saw TCU get in the playoff and get absolutely desecrated in the national title game the one year they think was that against Michigan maybe, I don't know. Whoever they played and got just clapped. No matter where you cut it off, the first team out is always going to be unhappy because there's an argument in the NCAA basketball tournament where there's 68 freaking teams that get in. That 69 team is going, well, I'm better than that school. I should be in this. It doesn't matter how far, unless you have it where it's like everybody's going to start undefeated week 1 and you're going to play as a guillotine league essentially. You lose a game, you're out. Last man standing, that's your national championship. That's your national champion. If you don't do that, there's always going to be drama. And then you have ESPN and Stephen A. Smith is running his damn mouth because he's got to cause drama. They want this. The people who put this together, they want that talking point. They want people going, Notre Dame should have gotten it. No, Miami should go. Because it drives ratings, bringing more money to the organization. I get it.
Yeah, there was a show I was actually listening to today that the first time I've heard honesty where like the talk show host was saying, well, the reason why that they're glad that it's released in the middle of the week is there's nothing to talk about, so they have
Yeah.
something to talk, or as you just pointed out, yell and scream about, because
Mhm.
you got to have something to yell and scream about, right?
Yeah. And I'm going to say this very, very bluntly. I don't think Miami or Notre Dame would have gotten to the semifinals. Quarterfinals, maybe. I think they're playing Texas Tech. I think that's the round one matchup. Maybe it's Texas A&M. It's one of the Texas schools. They might win that game. They're not beating whoever they play in the next round. It's just not going to happen. So I think it would be Ohio State because the 7-10 matchup would go against the two. They're not winning that game. It doesn't matter. Enjoy having a fit. Notre Dame, if you want to cost your school money for not going to a bowl game, good for you. You do you. If you were in a conference, you probably would have made the playoff, but you're not. So on you.
Shall we review the wreckage that was Week 14?
Yeah, let's first talk about our picks because it's getting the spread is getting bigger, Joel. I had a 9-5 week. Joel went 7-7, so I am now 141, 66-1. I have 59 more wins I need to get to 200, which has been a goal of mine since we started doing this. There are 77 games left, so I got to go 59-18 the rest of the way. A tall task, but there have been stretches that I've gotten pretty close to that this year. Hopefully, we can get it done in the regular season because that would be a lot easier.
Yeah, you just need me to keep picking little Cowboys every week.
Hey, I picked some. I picked some dumb ones last week. I picked Cincinnati over Buffalo, which looked good for a little bit, and Washington over. Well, I don't really regret that one.
Yeah, but what's your main takeaway from the Lions and Cowboys? Because this was all we already talked about it, and this was Thursday.
Well,
So
well, Joel is 130, 77-1 since we didn't put the record out there. Still not a bad pick'em season. I'm just having a really good one. Going to that game, the big takeaway is that the Lions offense looks very, very good. Dallas's pass defense is very bad. So you still want to target them in fantasy. If you have anybody going up against Dallas, I think this week is the Vikings. So maybe not the best week because J.J. McCarthy is a bad quarterback, but he looked a lot better last week. But the Lions' offense looks elite. For the Cowboys, their offense is going to be good enough. If their defense doesn't hold water, it's going to be a fantasy bonanza in games that they're featured in.
yeah, and keep in mind, Jake Ferguson without C.D. Lamb, 18.6
Yeah.
PPR points. With Lamb, 10.7.
Lamb with a concussion, he is progressing well. It looks like he's going to be back next week, but it's not a guarantee. He did have that fencing response we saw from Tua with the hands going to the face. Could be a little bit more of a significant thing. We've seen people, they're progressing well. They're progressing well. They missed the game. We'll see. It was a rough injury. He does have 10 days because it was a Thursday night game. We'll see what happens. Going
And,
to the weekend.
yeah, and you even had George Pickens getting into it with Richard Sherman.
Yeah, I think as someone who has George Pickens as a fantasy manager, I am ecstatic that he took last week and had his lazy game because all the talk, all that BS that goes on behind the scenes is going to get to him and is going to motivate him to not do that again. And I think he's going to be a monster with or without CeeDee Lamb.
All right, how about we go to the bad Falcons showing up?
Yeah, 6-6 at halftime ends in a 37-9 Seattle win.
Ooh.
28 points in the second half. Sam Darnold, JSN going absolutely nuclear in that second
And
half.
how about Rashid freaking Shaheed with that kickoff touchdown return for 100 yards?
Yeah, he's finally done something for that team. It's good to see. But the Seahawks, again, the defense was absolutely stifling the entire game. And their offense, it stepped up in the second half. We thought maybe the Falcons, after we saw Minnesota shut down Seattle a little bit the week before, offensively shut down JSN. Maybe there was a blueprint.
Fired yet?
No. Maybe there was a blueprint being presented by the Vikings. Nope, turns out they just had a slow first half against the Falcons. We'll have to see what they look like against the Rams in a couple of weeks because that is a big, big game for the division. But
Sad Bijan Robinson day.
yeah,
Sad Bijan day.
hopefully for Bijan managers in the playoffs, he can get back to form against the
When
Bucks.
Kyle Pitts is the offense, you know it sucks.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts. It'll still have to be Darnell Mooney as the wide receiver one, and Bijan and Tyler Algier in the backfield. We'll see if you've got him in fantasy. Best of luck if you've made the playoffs. There are definitely some Bijan managers who did not make the playoffs because, well, it wasn't very, very good. Moving on to a game of major consequence, the Steelers winning 27-22 over the Falcons. A very controversial no touchdown call on a looked like a reception by Isaiah. Likely Isaiah didn't get the third foot down, the step, the football move, whatever you want to call it. The third factor of making a catch, he did not get it done. Wave it off. They kick the field goal to go down by 5. They do not score to take the lead. And the Steelers move to 7-6. The Ravens fall to 6-7. Lamar Jackson a better game, but coming up short once again. And a big matchup for them against Cincinnati, who beat them badly on Thanksgiving night coming up.
Yeah, just with the Ravens, and you have the bad call and the bad break, but also Ryan, you can't settle for field goals in the fourth quarter if the Ravens want to win. Period, because you have that Isaiah likely race. Other than that, field goal, and you had DK Metcalf setting a season
It
high.
was good to see him show up.
You have Aaron Rodgers going for 284 yards. You even have Keaton Mitchell breaking out, so that's a name that's probably stashed. But and then DK Metcalf got a little banged up, but they said he's going to be okay for this week. But just brutal blow to the Ravens. They're not out of it. They're not eliminated, but just absolute brutal because they need every single solitary win. I just don't think they ever recovered from that bad loss to the Bills early on.
I think it's a flawed team. There's a lot of injuries that put them behind the 8 ball early. But those divisional matchups can go wild. I know they're going to be rooting for the Dolphins to beat the Steelers. They have to take care of business against the Bengals to get back into it, but only one game back with 4 to go. Pittsburgh has a difficult enough schedule. Only time will tell where that division goes. There's 2 big takeaways from the next game. Jordan Sanders might be good. He had a monster game,
The
and
thing with
Kevin
this
Stefanski is about to get fired.
thing with Sanders that before you continue that you have to put a disclaimer. Next 4 games, Ryan, will decide whether or not is Shador Sanders good because he's facing some more high quality caliber teams the rest of the way. If he can stay and maintain this same performance level next 4 games, and then you can make the case he should have been taken higher. If he maintains the same or he falters, and it was like that game that wasn't so good when he came in, then he was taken pretty much where he was taken. But I think these next 4 games decide whether or not he is a legit NFL quarterback or not.
Yeah, but in this game, he was very good. The Titans beat the Browns 31-29. The defense letting them down. The head coach,
Yeah.
I get going for 2 the first time. I know that's an analytics thing. I don't like it. Take the extra point, play for overtime. If you're going to get 2 touchdowns in a row to
Hopefully,
tie the game,
Stefanski just closed social media and didn't look at it
yeah.
all after the game.
If they kicked the extra point both times to go to overtime with the momentum, they would have won that game. But they go for 2, fail, get another touchdown, and then pull Shador Sanders, who led the team back, was very, very good, very clutch in that fourth quarter. They pull him off the field to do a double reverse where Quinshon Judkins forgets that he's supposed to pitch the ball to the wide receiver going the other
That's
way.
another moment that definitely needed yakety sax.
Does a pirouette and throws it into double coverage to the guy who's like, I don't know
How
what
do
I'm
you
supposed to be
forget
doing
what you're
now.
doing?
You can see the oh crap from the back. You see his helmet whip back. Oh no.
Oh
And the
no, Mr.
Browns,
Bill.
yeah, the Browns lose in Browns fashion to the Tennessee Titans. The Titans, Tony Pollard looked good. Cam Ward, decent, not a great game, but good enough
Tony
to get the
Pollard,
win.
fantasy relevant for the first time in since I can't remember.
Pretty much all season long. I know I've got a league that I'm co-managing with somebody. We tried selling out because we were 6-7. We thought, hey, the playoffs aren't in range. We traded away Amon-Ra St. Brown. We traded away Josh Jacobs. We had to play Tony Pollard. We got a bunch. It's a dynasty league. We got a bunch of picks. And then we won the game because guys like Tony Pollard and Jerry Jeudy and all these guys you don't expect to be good stepped up, and teams in front of us lost. So we got it as a 60 going, well, I guess we're playing with house money, but it's an interesting fact that Tony Pollard and Jerry Jeudy, both in this game, had their best games of the season. The Browns, I kind of think they need to let Shador have a full season at this point. They're going to get the rest of the way. If he looks adequate, if he looks anywhere near as good as Tyler Shuck looks, we'll talk about him in the Bucks game.
Oh my good
If
God.
he looks as good as Shuck has looked, give him next season. Use all that draft capital to go and build around him and see what you can do. If he is not the guy, you're going to be in a position in 2027 to draft a quarterback. Do it then.
Yeah, because you have to ask, do the Browns know WTF they are doing in crunch time, Ryan? Do they even know what they are doing?
Shador Sanders looked like he knew what he was doing. He
That
was clutch in that fourth quarter, bringing them back from 2 touchdowns down.
other than
But
Shador.
to pull him off the field for that play, it was a dumb play. That's a play you run at between the 30s where that misdirection works. You're at the goal line. It's a
And
lot of big dudes. They're not going to chase all the way across. You're going right back into them. I don't think it would have worked either way, but then just to fail on them that badly.
and you've got to do a you did it meme for the Titans, and on the bottom you won the second game of the season, and
We'll see what that. I
uh,
mean, we'll talk about draft order here in a little bit because it definitely got a little more interesting at the top of the draft.
yeah, for a game that originally was supposed to be one of the worst games of the day, might have been the best games of the day.
Yeah, it was a good game. I mean, we have to be happy that we saw a good game between two bad teams. All right, next up, we've talked about the Daniel Jones injury, but the Jaguars
Oh
got the
boy.
36-19 win in a game that wasn't that close. Daniel Jones left this game early with the Achilles injury. He wasn't playing particularly well before that, but Riley Leonard did not play better. We'll see if Philip Rivers does get to start. Riley Leonard looks like he is healthy, but I don't know if he's going to start anyways. The Jaguars, with the win, they take sole possession of first place in the AFC South. They have their destiny in their hands. The Colts, unfortunately, it looks like the season has essentially been lost the last few weeks. Now Daniel Jones out. Unfortunately for them, it looks like they're going to struggle down the stretch, and that first round pick they traded to the Jets is getting more and more valuable by the minute.
Yeah, you thought the Colts might have had a chance, but you had nasty weather, the curse both from the wheel and from history, just not doing well in Jacksonville, then the ugly, ugly injury. And you just have to feel for Colts fans. You have to feel for the Colts since all of a sudden they're the week is over. It's done. They get utterly stomped. You have Travis Etienne just having himself one hell of a good day for the victory. As all of a sudden Trevor Lawrence looks good. The Jaguars are on the ascension, and they all of a sudden look like the team that everybody thought they were supposed to be good last year, that they stumbled, have problems. And all of a sudden, they are approaching double digit wins, somewhere that we
Yeah.
haven't been talking about territory wise for the Jaguars in quite a long time. So we can see what they do in the home stretch. But brutal day for the Colts, and they just probably want the season to be over and done with it. They're about to do all.
Yeah, at this point, Jacksonville and Houston seem to be the only two teams that can win that division. I know Indianapolis is tied with Texans right now. It just doesn't feel like they're in contention at this point. Moving on, J.J. McCarthy had one of his better days as a pro, under 200 yards passing, but did get 3 touchdown passes as the Vikings win 31-0 over the Commanders. The Commanders' offense never looked in sync. The Vikings' defense was dominant. They had the ground game going, and J.J. McCarthy did not get Justin Jefferson going, but got the ball moving pretty well. The Vikings holding on to playoff hopes at 5-8. Joe, anything on the Vikings game? Or we did we lose audio?
Oh yeah, we're still on.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I thought my headphones had gone.
Hmm,
Oh no, Vikings just I mentioned it when we were talking about everything back and forth. Just absolutely amazing how the Vikings go from being absolutely shut out and freaking embarrassed by the Seahawks last week, where it was such a lopsided game. All of a sudden, you had the defense taking care of everything, and you were wondering what happened to Sam Darnold and JSN last week. Who they were back this week, and now you have the Vikings all of a sudden remembering they've got an offense, and the poor Commanders, they're the ones like the Vikings were last week, because all of a sudden everyone's so happy about Jane Daniels coming back, and quicker than Bart's grandpa entering and exiting,
yeah.
Jane Daniels was back. And he's gone. It's just, oh my good God, the Commanders are looking on to week 15. Wildflower's probably doing the stash. That was an ugly, ugly game. And Quinn even confirmed that Daniels could have returned, but maybe they just wanted to keep him out of injury with just the brutal game that was going. And bad news, as Zach Ertz is believed to have torn
Yeah,
his
he's out.
ACL, something that you never like hearing in fantasy or in reality. But brutal day for the Commanders. 3-10, not surprising like that. They are eliminated. Remember when they were the chosen ones for the year, Ryan?
Yeah, injuries take their toll in their own crazy way. Obviously, Terry McLaurin had the contract dispute that missed a lot of time in the season. Jaden Daniels missing a lot of time. Trading away Brian Robinson, I think, was a bad decision. I just think this team's made a couple bad decisions. They've had some bad luck, and they went from a last place schedule to a second place schedule, and it seems to have bitten them pretty good. 3-10, they're in contention for the number one overall pick, which is scary because this team has still got a lot of good pieces. They do have some holes, obviously, to fill, but if they can fill those holes, this could be a team that rebounds next year.
And how about we go to the
This,
surprise win in New York? Huh?
not really a surprise win. I think we both had it, but the way it was done, it was over before the injury to
You just
Tyrod
weren't
Taylor.
expecting the Dolphins to be this dominant.
I mean, they lost Achane before halftime with a minor rib injury. He could have returned, just like we heard about Jaden Daniels, but the game wasn't dictating that he needed to come back. The Dolphins were well ahead. Jalen Wright had a monster game. If you're going, who is that? That is the
107
number
flipping
three.
yards.
That's the number three running back on the roster behind Achane and Ollie Gordon. Achane should be fine for next week against Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football. Big for your fantasy football players if you've got him. The Jets, though, it's brutal right now with both quarterbacks down, Garrett
And
Wilson
Tyrod
down.
Taylor out of the game with a groin injury.
Yeah, it's not good. In this game, 34-10, it could have been a lot worse. The Dolphins kind of took their foot off the gas later in this game. The Jets, they're in contention for that number one overall pick as well. See what happens with them. But the Dolphins, 6-7, they're
And
still lurking in the playoff picture. I don't think they're going to make it, but if you told me January or September 1st, the Dolphins after week 14 will have the same record as the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs, I would have been a very excited human being because I would have assumed that means we are a 10 or 11 win team going into the playoffs. Unfortunately, that means we're all 6-7, but it's been one of those weird, wild seasons. 4-0 since they fired Chris Greer, the GM, playing hard for Mike McDaniels. We'll see what happens with his future. Every win gets him closer to staying, especially if they can finish it off to go 10-7.
Dolphins win again. They are continuing the Return from Oblivion tour for 2025. Holy crap! Good to hear that Achan is okay, both in fantasy and reality. I'm sure managers and fans everywhere are happy. I wonder if Jalen Wright's going to have some more to share next week to kind of help Achan out with a little load management with the rib injury. So that's sort of something to keep in mind. But Dolphins fighting for McDaniels, and I think he's back in 2026, Ryan. And I'm remembering something crazy enough. Rich Eisen ended up saying about all the while back that Tua Tagovailoa has never had a below 500 season. As crazy as that quote at the time, that was true.
I believe that has to be in full seasons because they finished 8 and 9 last year, but I know he missed a considerable amount of time last year. Um, we'll see if they can go even 2-2 down the stretch after starting so poorly and finishes an 8 and 9 team. I think that's enough to keep McDaniels around. I think that shows the team is willing to and able to fight for him. They were talking during the game this week that he has adapted some things and changed out how they kind of structure this team and said, "Hey, instead of me doing this, we're going to collectively figure this out." He's done a very good job of turning this around. It has been a weaker schedule, but you can only play the teams that they put in front of you. You don't get to pick who you're playing. We'll see. If the Dolphins get to 10-7 and find a way to sneak into the playoffs, I don't think the team that is the 2 seed, because they can only really get into the 7, whether that's Denver, New England, or Jacksonville, I don't think they're going to be happy to see the team on an 8-game winning streak coming into their house for the first week of the playoffs.
And I suppose we have to talk about this next game,
I
don't
think we do. Tyler Shuck and the New Orleans Saints go into Tampa and beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker
we?
Mayfield
Hallelujah,
is
holy bleep, where's the Tylenol?
That's what Baker Mayfield is asking because his shoulder is very injured. We know that. We saw when he was at Cleveland his last year and he had the bad shoulder. His numbers dipped. Part of this has to be attributed to the fact that you don't have Mike Evans because I know Mike Evans is aging, but he's still one of the best wide receivers in football. Emeka Ibuka has kind of disappeared of late. Some of that is his fault. Some of it, he's one of the lowest, uh, has one of the
Yes, there's
lowest
been a
catchable target rates.
show.
Yeah, he's got one of the lowest catchable target rates in the NFL, and then he's got some catastrophic
You
drops,
know
like
it's
the
never a
touchdown
good thing
week
when
3.
he's apologizing for his performance. Ugh.
Well, he had a touchdown that hit him right here, and it did not stay right there. It's not a good look, but he is a rookie. He's prone to make mistakes, and the Bucks are still 7-6. The Saints, they get a nice win. They move to 3-10. They have a chance to get ahead of the Falcons by the end of the season, which is something that I don't think anybody really saw coming.
Yeah,
But the
boy.
Buccaneers, it's good to see Bucky Irving back. He has been very good since his return. I think the Bucks need to lean on that running game a little bit more. If they get Mike Evans back, try and open this offense up. Explosive deep passing, get the running game going, and then take your shots where you need to. The Bucks will be fine. They have 2 games against the Panthers. If they win both of those, doesn't matter what happens in the other 2, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, because Ryan will tell you, well, immediately after the game, Buccaneers social media said and asked for Buck fans for one word. I don't know what your word would have been.
Ass.
My word was defense. Bucks needed defense. One word. How about tackling? That too, and I'll even offer 2 words, Ryan. We go
Oh,
back.
shucks.
No, actually borrowing since it was a Saints game from Jim Mora, diddly poo, because that's what this game was. This was just a crappy weather day on Sunday. And no Bucks win. Just as a Bucks fan, that just makes me a little bit more grouchier because it was a crap day, just rain all day, just all the slop. You really didn't feel really excited to do much of anything. And then all of a sudden the Bucks lose, and it's like, oh my good God, they're giving hope to the Panthers who are on a bye by losing to the freaking Saints. And the Saints offense, Ryan, they didn't have a lot of it.
No.
Think about it.
Uh, all shucks, Shough, by the way. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, including that one that gave them the win. That was just ridiculous. The tackling you mentioned, you got to give a lot of credit to Shuck on that play to break all those tackles, but you can't let a rookie quarterback look that dominant getting into the end zone when the game is
You
over.
had the 2 runs by Shuck. Neal scored first, and that's never a good sign when the visiting team gets the first score. That ain't good for the Mo. And yeah, and I mean, because you're looking, Shuck was the offense pretty much. Because you're looking, oh, let's see, well, what about Olave? He had 30 yards. Come
Yeah.
on, Bucks defense. That's the thing that Bowles is known for. And man, I tell you, I've never been one to want to hop on the Fire Bowles bandwagon, but at this point, I can see because somebody posted the whole scenario. Okay, is it 2023 with the Eagles going to 2023 2.0, Ryan? And they were having each time, they lost to the Bucks in the wild card. And so what happens this year? I don't know. The Bucks continue playing like this,
It
and
won't be in the wild card unless something crazy happens. Just because the NFC South is only getting one team in. That's going to be
well,
the third, three or the four seed. The Eagles aren't going to drop to the wild card because somebody's going to catch them. But in the divisional round, it's possible they would run into each other.
because if anything, they may be losing to the Panthers, whether it's division, whether it's wild card. If the Bucks aren't careful and they don't get their ducks in a row, even with Mike Evans back, because they need defense, because that's the thing. You remember, even in the Patriots game, what was the thing that was a decision? Two runs by Trevion freaking Henderson absolutely cooked the Bucks, and even Baker fighting to get back couldn't get the job done because the Bucks D can't stop the freaking run, whether it's Trevion Henderson or Tyler Shuck, who's an absolute rookie who just torched the Bucks. And
And
I'm over this game.
you got to look back earlier in the season when they barely won games against Houston, who was struggling at the time. The Jets, who they had to come back from a late block field goal touchdown, they won some games that maybe they shouldn't have won in other circumstances, and maybe that overachieving got some aspirations and some hopes up for fans of this team. And maybe they are just a 500 team that the breaks were going their way early. They're not going their way now, and it's just balancing out. But the Bucks still hold the destiny in their hand, and we move on. Next,
To a team that definitely had some breaks go their way, that and the Bills hosting the
yeah,
Bengals.
arguably the best game of the week in the
Oh, this
snow,
was
not a high
insane.
wind game. It was the exact snow game you want where there's snow on the ground. There's a light snow, but it's not affecting anything. The Bills win 39-34, scored 21 points over a 5 minute span in the fourth
Yeah,
quarter.
I was listening to one of the announcers were talking. They were describing the scene in Orchard Park, and they were saying, this is really cinematic. And my one thought is, as I try not to knock over the mic, my one thought is, it's cinematic unless you have to play in it.
Honestly, that looks like it would have been fun to extend, especially if you can keep warm. That looks like it would have been just fine. But the Bills were down 10 for the most part of this game, and then just all of a sudden they get a touchdown, a pick six, another quick interception that goes to over a touchdown, and boom, they're up 11. They do
How
get the win by 5, and the Bengals are on life support. The Bills, I think they're going to be a solid, safe playoff team. Big game against New England this week for the division, though.
can you imagine being Joe Burrow? You throw 4 TDs and you lose.
Yeah, the Bengals had, I don't know what the number is now, but they had 6 games where they lost after scoring 30 or more points. That was the most of any team in NFL history, and that was in like week 9, week 8. This is another one. At the end of the year, you're going to look at the Bengals and be like, yeah, this offense was great. And the thing with the Bengals have to keep in mind is your offense is good. You might need an offensive lineman, but that's it. You've got Yoshivash as your 3. Higgins, Chase are great. You've got Gasicki and Fant who have been good at the tight end position. Chase Brown's been good. P. Ryan's been good. You don't need to touch the offense. Just keep the key pieces in place. Get yourself a lineman. And then throw all of your offseason stuff at the defense. Make this defense something that is decent. You don't need to be great. You don't need to be the Texans or the Broncos. You need to be, I don't know, the Eagles. Well, maybe not the best example. They usually good. Look at how the Saints have been playing the last few weeks defensively. They've been stepping up with some people overachieving. The Dolphins of late, their defense look good. You don't need to be the 85 Bears. You just need to be 15, 17 in the league, somewhere in that middle of the pack range, and you are a surefire playoff team.
And if you are the 85 Bears, you have to do a song.
Yeah, you do. Moving on to a great defense. They win 24-17. The Broncos over the Raiders. The last second walk-off field goal by the Raiders to cover the spread.
Yeah,
That's
there was some
interesting.
question. There was some question about that
I
play.
understand the theory is, hey, if we take the field goal, have any time left at the clock, and we get an onside kick and a Hail Mary. Didn't work out that way. I think the ball crossed with about right before the clock hit 0, but they're not going to put a second back on the clock for that. The Broncos, though, were in control of this game from start to finish. It got a little close to the final score, but it was 24-7. And then a late touchdown in garbage time, the late field goal as time expired when there's no point of kicking it. Brock Bowers still very good. RJ Harvey stepping up. That was good to see. Bo Nix one of
Yeah,
his
he
best.
delivered a very, very strong performance in the win over the Raiders.
And
Big
for the
time.
Broncos, it was nice to see them win a game comfortably. I know the final score is only 7 points, but again, they were
Bo
17
Nix and your
points.
receivers, if you had any receivers in fantasy, you were definitely going, huh?
Yeah. But the Broncos, 11-2, back on top of the AFC.
And we go to another game of the week.
Yeah, this was
Tentative.
probably not the best game. I do think that goes to Bills Bengals, probably the biggest game of the week, and it lived up to the hype a little bit.
You
Um,
had some definite
Slow
leverage games
start.
this week, and you had some definite barn burners.
Yeah, a slow start to this one, but they got it going in the second half. The Packers winning 28-21 over the Chicago Bears. The Bears, they are still the little brothers in this division. The Packers are still the big boys. The Bears, again, they went from the 1 seed to the 7 seed. They play the Lions coming up in the next few weeks. They still have to make the playoffs. They have a tough path. Cleveland this week. If Shador Sanders is a real deal, that defense looks good. Who knows? But the Packers, 9-3-1, half game out of first place in the conference, regaining the top spot in the NFC North. Christian Watson has been fantastic since coming back from
Ooh, he
AC
just keeps
injury.
rolling.
The Packers are playing Denver, and I've got Christian Watson in a dynasty league. This is the
Two
same thing I've
touchdowns.
got.
Two,
Yeah,
two,
I've
two,
got
two,
T.
two,
Higgins going
two, two,
on a
two.
concussion possibility. I don't know if I should be playing Christian Watson against Denver's defense, even with T. Higgins going out, because that's where I have Mike Evans. Um, it's he's been so good, but that's such a bad matchup. It's a consideration at least. But the Bears, they're still in the playoffs. They just got to finish the season strong. But I think the Packers put the Bears back in their place. They're not quite ready to win this division. We'll see how it goes in 2 weeks when they face the Packers again at Soldier Field.
You have to give respect to the Bears who fought hard, but Packers emerged victorious, and yeah, your heart just has to go out to Caleb Williams with that interception. And when that happened, you're just like, oh man, that just has to absolutely
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah, tough way to lose the game, but he did give them a chance. He was great for the most part in this game. Late interceptions happen. That's clutch time for either the offense or defense steps up. This time it was the defense, just a little underthrown where the defender can make the play, and the Packers make the play, and they get the win. As we lose Joe, he'll be back shortly. Moving on to a game that wasn't that competitive throughout. The Los Angeles Rams 45-17 win over the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals continue to fall apart. We have to assume that the head coach, Gannon's going to be fired at the end of the season. They have been an absolute unmitigated disaster. The Rams continue to roll. The defense looked great. Matthew Stafford looked like the MVP candidate. We've had him pretty much for the entire season. Puka Nacua, 2 touchdowns in this game. Kyron Williams and Blake Corum both scoring at least once. Corum getting 2 touchdowns in this game. It was really just a dominant performance from the Rams. The Rams 10-3, back in first place in the NFC, still leading the NFC West by the tiebreaker over the Seattle Seahawks. Big game with them next week. Sam Darnold's going to have to step up against the Rams. But the Rams, they look like every bit of the Super Bowl contender. The Cardinals, we've heard that Kyler Murray may not be coming back to this team at all. He's going to be out the rest of the season. Michael Wilson looks like a man absolutely possessed. And thank God Joel's coming back because I was running out of things I could say. Talking about Rams and Cardinals now. I've pretty much done the full breakdown and then some. And I cannot hear you. No sound. So I'll continue to ramble while we try and get Joel's audio back because technology is fun as he goes away again. Rumors of Aaron Donald coming out of retirement for the playoff run. I don't know if I buy that, but it's on the horizon.
Testing, testing.
Hey, he's back. All right, Rams Cardinals. Go.
Yeah, because we were talking about when all of a sudden the space time continuum did the big. I was about to say, now we go to a game that was anything but competitive.
Yeah, we've hit the highlights. Nakua's 2 touchdowns. Kyron and Corum looking fantastic in the backfield. Matthew Stafford, the MVP. Michael Wilson, though, has been something to discuss in the games with Jacoby Brissett. But anyways, what do you got on this game?
Oh yeah, just 45-17, absolute just
Beat down.
Rams back to their old selves after last week's shocking loss to the Panthers. As I just think the Rams we're making an example of the poor Cardinals. You have to feel sorry
Yeah.
for the Cardinals. And Puka Pukas dominate 2025 World Tour continues. Safford 3 TDs. Blake Corum, you already mentioned. And how about Michael Wilson delivering WR1 output
Yeah.
for fantasy freaking investors? You got to love if you had him. And oh boy, you just have to feel sorry for just about anybody who has to be sacrificed to the Rams. It's like, okay, okay, we're ready. Who's our vote this week? It's the Rams.
There's going to be some people that run some problems this week in fantasy with Michael Wilson and Jacoby Brissett because they're playing the Texans. And if there's a team that can shut down both players, the Texans have not allowed a top 12 quarterback all season long. Jacoby Brissett has been nothing but a top 12 quarterback since he got the starting role. Michael Wilson has been wide receiver one, not a wide receiver one, like the wide receiver one since he took over at quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, that is. I think it's going to be a hard week for the Cardinals next week, and there's going to be people that lose fantasy because they've got the faith in these two guys against too tough of a defense. But the Rams, they get it done, and we move on to that Texans defense, 20-10 win over the Kansas City Chiefs. The Texans wasn't pretty, but that's how they win a lot of games. The Chiefs on life support at 6-7. Texans 8-5, going in the right direction. Woody Marks looks like a possible league winner going forward.
Yeah, because just the Chiefs just absolutely stunned. Who would have thought that when we were here that the Chiefs almost have 8 losses and the Texans would have had almost 8 wins, and they have 8 wins.
Yeah, they've got 8 wins now.
So
All right, let's.
absolutely crazy. And let's just what were you gonna say?
I was ready to move on. You got
Oh,
nothing
just
on this game.
quickly since we're mentioning the Chiefs, because Chiefs 6-7 road to the playoffs. Number one, they have to win all the remaining games,
Yeah.
and the Chargers have to lose against the Cowboys or Texans or
And to the
Broncos.
Chiefs. And to the Chiefs.
And the
Which is
upcoming games, the Colts have to lose 2 games against the
doable.
Seahawks,
Very doable.
Jaguars, San Francisco 49ers, or Texans.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Obviously, Houston can lose out or Buffalo can lose out, and they would finish with 8 losses or 9 losses. It's still a little too late to say this is the only path. There's a lot of paths for the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Ravens, but they have to start having the path open up, not continue to close. The Chiefs, if they lose this week to the Chargers, I think it's over. I really think it's done. The Broncos can win the division if the Chiefs win and the Broncos win, but I believe that's true. Or if not, they'll be one game away. But the Chiefs with another loss, it's going to be tough. And they still place the Chargers. They still play the Broncos down the stretch as well. Chiefs, Ravens, and Lions all possibly not make the playoffs. This is something we didn't have on the bingo card. Moving on to Monday Night Football, the Chargers 22-19 win in overtime. Overtime that cost me a bye week in a fantasy league just because, hey,
Well,
Jalen
when
Hurts.
Saquon Barkley ended up doing his performance, that cost me my game.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. I didn't lose this game. This was somebody else I had to have lose. I won my game. They had to lose. Just not quite getting that done. Um, the Chargers, 5 field goals by Cameron Dicker, 1 touchdown by Marion Hampton on a pass reception. Justin Herbert got beat up. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts, 5 turnovers, including the first instance of a player throwing an interception and losing a fumble on the same play in NFL history. It is arguably the not top 10 that could rival the butt fumble if you had an all time not top 10 from football. It was quite bad. A.J. Brown, a good game, but they seem to lose when that happens. Saquon Barkley, a return to form, but an ugly game.
Yeah, because
Defenses weren't great. Offenses were even worse.
I mean, I know people say, well, it went to overtime and it was a thriller, and no, it wasn't.
Competitive game and good game are two very different things. This
And
was one of those games. The second quarter had 6 turnovers, 3 on 1 play.
and
So
the play,
as far as entertainment, there were some things that were entertainment, but it was like watching Pee Wee soccer where the kids are running into each other and hitting the goalpost instead of hitting the ball. Where like I shouldn't want to laugh at this, but it's entertaining because it's so bad. That was what this game was.
Field Yates had a fantasy post. The fantasy points on that play. Jalen Hurts loses 2 points for the interception, then loses 2 more points for the fumbling the ball after recovering the other fumble on the play, minus 4 points on one play.
Remember last year when Josh Allen had a passing touchdown to himself because of the pitch from Amari Cooper? This was like the bad version of that play
This
for
is
this
like,
year.
how many times can you roll a one for Jalen Hurts in one
That
night?
if there's ever a time you roll a one, then you're like, oh, well, roll athletics instead. And then you roll a one again, and you go,
Do an
you're getting
agility
hit by the
check.
bus.
You failed miserably.
Do a perception check. Oh, that's not any better. Oh, this
Do a
is going to be a bad
dexterity
day.
check. Oh boy, you're still cursed.
Take 3d6 of damage. Ah, yeah. Not a good game. The Eagles, though, 8-5, they're still in control of their destiny. They're still a game and a half in first in the division. They will likely make the playoffs, but this does not look like a Super Bowl caliber team. The Chargers, we've seen them blow this kind of game so many times in the past. It was good to see them finish it off. They win the game. They're 9-4. They're solidly in the playoff mix right now. They can't afford to have missteps the rest of the way. They have to win out. They have to beat the Chiefs. They have to beat everybody else on their schedule coming up. But they look like a team that's at least going to make the postseason. All right, before we get to our picks for tomorrow night's game, let's talk about the draft order because it was shaken up. The Titans had it on lock, but with the win, they now move to the number 3 pick. The first overall pick has moved to the New York Giants, which should be terrifying for a team that's got Jackson Dart, Malik Neighbors, Cam Scatterbo, Wandale Robinson stepping
As
up,
long as
Theo
he doesn't
Johnson.
concuss himself with how he runs.
Hey, he didn't concuss himself. He blew out his ankle, but that'll heal. They've got some really good talented pieces already. They've got a defense that is overachieving to an extent. They need to learn how to close out games. They lost a lot of games by losing late. I think that if the Giants get the number 1 overall pick, they can either pick the best player in the draft, which this is not a skill position draft this year. It's going to be more of a meat and potatoes kind of draft, defense and linemen and stuff like that. There are going to be your studs. I think there's some good quarterbacks in this draft as well. Or they could trade it and get a haul from a team like, I don't know, Vegas, team like New Orleans, team like the Jets may be looking to move up and get a quarterback. Arizona might be in that market. And they can get an absolute haul. Or maybe an even crazier thought, maybe they trade the number 1 overall pick to the Rams, who have 2 first-round picks in this year's draft, and say, hey, we're going to just take quantity over quality. Giants with the number 1 pick. The Vegas Raiders at 2, Tennessee at 3, Cleveland 4, New Orleans 5, Washington 6, Jets at 7, Arizona at 8, Atlanta would be at 9 had they not traded their pick to the Los Angeles Rams. Yes, the number 1 team in the NFC has currently a top 10 pick, along with pick number 31 projected right now. At 10 is the Cincinnati Bengals, the Vikings at 11, Dolphins 12, Baltimore, Kansas City 13-14, Dallas, Carolina, Detroit, and currently the Indianapolis Colts pick is the 18th pick, the last one to be decided, not by the playoff results, and that has gone to the Jets as well. So right now the Jets are sitting with 2 top 18 picks, the Rams with 2 picks in the first round this year, Dallas with 15 and 28, and Cleveland with 4 and 27 by way of the Travis Hunter draft day acquisition trade with the Jaguars. All right, let's go to tomorrow night's Buccaneers Falcons tilt at Raymond James in Tampa, Florida. For the Falcons, Kyle Pitts has to be in your lineup. He is the entirety of the passing offense right now. Obviously, you're still playing Bijan. I think you can play Algier in this one. If you're desperate, Darnell Mooney is an option. For the Bucks, you're going to play Bucky Irving. I don't think you bench Ibuki yet, even though he's been a little disappointing. I personally think if Mike Evans plays, you play Mike Evans. I know this is going to sound crazy because Mike Evans has under 200 yards on the season, but he's got that legendary streak of 1,000-yard seasons with 4 games left. I could see the first game back, Baker Mayfield saying, look, if we can't get you 250, we might be done, but hell, we're trying to get you at least 250 tonight. So Mike Evans could be just an absolute monster, and if he has a monster game this week, expect him to try and keep it rolling. Chris Godwin's a depth option. Kate Otten looks like he might not play in this game. So big game for the Bucks. The Falcons are probably the least predictable team in the NFL. The Bucks 7-6 must win to definitely stay in front of Carolina. Again, if they beat Carolina both games, this game really doesn't matter for the Bucks. But I don't think you want to be 7-7 going into the home stretch where you have must-win games over division rivals who are already ahead of you.
Yeah, just with this game, I know it's you tend to look at prime time, and that's a big bugaboo for my Bucks. It's just we remember the last game. Oh boy, Detroit Lions. Yeah, that didn't exactly was a whole bunch of fun. Bucks not only got their butts kicked, but they
But
lost Mike Evans for a extended period of time in a very brutal hit in a very brutal game. That yeah, still just put a bad taste in the Bucks' mouth and Bucks fans' mouth everywhere. But that being said, Bucks minus 4.5 favorites. The reason that is that probably Mike Evans hype. He's coming back, so the Vegas definitely has a lot of faith in Mike Evans helping to inject some momentum and some positivity in the team. That definitely needs some after that, whatever that was against the Saints, and I'm still trying to figure out how, when they know it's going to be Tyler Shuck or Neil Stop the ball. But no Drake London for the Falcons. We probably will have Mike Evans. Hopefully Tristan Wirfs will be back because I know he didn't play this week. But yeah,
we had to rest after getting the touchdown.
hmm?
He had to rest after getting his touchdown.
Yeah, I know it's hard work, but somebody's got to do it, and especially when Tristan Wirfs had more touchdowns in 1 month than Jamar Chase did. So yeah, but yeah, let me tell you what I know. Normally, you think history, you think prime time, and you're a little bit have a little trepidation on picking the Bucks. But the reason I'm picking the Bucks, you mentioned it, Falcons are inconsistent. No Drake London is not Penix. It's Kirk Cousins, and we have definitely seen bad Falcons recently, which definitely means even Bijan Robinson owners are sad and they don't have a lot of confidence. You're still starting him because he is Bijan. He's still a super stud. But yeah, I think the Bucks have more weapons on offense with Evans coming back. And I know you have Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier for the Falcons, but for the Bucks, you've got Rashad White, Bucky Irving back in action, and Sean Tucker is a stealth sneak weapon that they can now have the three-headed monster versus the two-headed monster. And yeah, I might trust Todd Bowles a little bit more than Raheem Morris recently. So it's not what you would call a super confident pick, one that I don't think I would lock, but I got to go with the Bucks here. I just think overall, looking at their season and the full performance, got to go with Bucks. Even with Mayfield and that shoulder, you're kind of wondering, you're hoping, but got to pick Bucks. I think they need a bounce back in the worst way, and it's a short week, so they can forget the Saints and they can focus on Thursday night.
Yeah, Bijan right now is the number 5 running back in half point PPR scoring. He's number 4 running back in rushing yards. He's in your lineup. You don't question that, even if he has had a somewhat disappointing season versus what you expected. I think Mike Evans plays. It might be on a snap count. He hasn't taken contact yet, so he is truly questionable for
And
tomorrow
just
night.
remember what the Sun God did and how much of an effect he had for the Lions when
I
he came
know.
back.
And Mike Evans is a captain of the team. He's a heart and soul kind of guy. If he's back, it's going to be a big deal. I'm taking Tampa Bay as well. I just trust the Buccaneers on all fronts more than I trust Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons right now. Yes, the Falcons can have a dangerous team. Yes, they could have that week where they show up and they play great football, but it seems to be less common with Kirk Cousins at the helm than it was with Michael Penix. Um, and I just, at the end of the day, I trust Bucky Irving to get the job
If
done
they
on the
had Drake
ground.
London, I may have leaned the Falcons more because he's a favorite target of Kirk Cousins. But with no Drake London, I tend to lean a little bit more towards the Bucks.
Yeah, and that is a big injury where the Bucks are getting healthier on the offensive side of the ball. the Falcons remain without their best player in the wide receiver of the passing game. So I'm taking the Bucks as well. I'd rather lose with the better team than try and go contrarian here. This is a very interesting week of picks for me. There's not a whole lot of craziness out there. It seems like a very straightforward week, but I think I got one or two that might surprise you when we get to those picks later. But that is time for final thoughts, I guess.
All right, just two very quick final thoughts. Final thought number one: what is Chris Collins worth smoking when he said that he thinks that the Chiefs still can go to the Super Bowl? I'm trying to wonder. I'm trying to
Two
think.
things here. One, he is on Patrick Mahomes' lap more than a kid asking for an Xbox from Santa Claus. He loves him and the Chiefs. And the Chiefs, you have to be realistic. Patrick Mahomes has won 3 Super Bowls. The Chiefs have been there every year. Andy Reid is a Hall of Fame coach when he decides to hang it up. Absolutely, the Chiefs could make the Super Bowl. However, they have to make the playoffs first, and that's where it doesn't look particularly likely right now.
Yeah, so you can especially look at their schedule. How many of those teams can they, you think, beat?
And you
Two.
like
Two,
Denver
and
might
they have
have
to go. They have to win out.
Denver may have nothing to play for in Week 17. It's possible the Patriots lose the Bills this week. They lose in Week 16. The Broncos win the next two. They've clinched the 1 seed. They've clinched the division. There's nothing else to play for. You're telling me Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos aren't going to want to be the team that says, "Oh, Kansas City is still lurking. We're going to end that. We're going to be the team that goes out and punches them in the mouth and knocks them out." I don't see the Chiefs getting in. If they get in, yeah, absolutely, they can get hot. They've got the players. They've got the coaching. They could do it. They got to get in first, and
Sean
that's where the
Payton
problem.
doing a dick move? No way.
No, I know it's hard to believe, right? Final thought, too.
Final thought number two: how about we cut Justin Herbert a little bit of slack because he was criticized because he didn't want to do a post game interview.
Yeah, it's Joel disappears. I'll let him finish his final thought here in a minute when he comes back. But yeah, Justin Herbert wanting to go celebrate with his teammates is Joel's coming back. He'll tell you the whole Justin Herbert story. I remember watching this live, going, "Can you leave the guy alone?" No sound. No sound. No sound. No sound. Oh, technology is a lot of fun, everybody. Final thought for me, one of them is going to be technology freaking sucks sometimes. Let's see if we can hear Joel this time as he's back in 2, 1. And no, 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 no. Ah, I can't do his entire final thought. I can explain the situation that happened with Justin Herbert, but I can't tell you what he was thinking. I do see the Justin Herbert thing at the end of the game, but let's see. Nope. No. Maybe you just gotta. I don't know. Is it going to that headset mic again? Because that was weird last time. I don't know. Well, Joel, I'm gonna hop in and do my final thought real quick, and we'll come back to yours if the mic comes to working. My final thought is the end of the fantasy football regular season is here. I am in entirely too many leagues, which is a personal problem, but I don't have a problem. 15 total leagues this year. Made the playoffs in 11 of them. Had a few bye weeks that I was very happy with. Unfortunately, some of the leagues I didn't make it. Our 10-team league that we live draft here, the league I'm absolutely cursed in, don't make the playoffs. Can't make the playoffs. Doesn't really matter. But it was a good fantasy football season, and we've got some work still to do to win some titles, win some money, have some fun. And if you are in the position I am, I hear Joel. I can hear background noise with Joel, so he is
Just a
back.
testing.
Yeah, I can hear you. So yeah, if you're in your fantasy football playoffs, the stretch run is here. Win your trophies, win your leagues, win your money. Whatever you play for, go get it done. I know that's what I intend to do. And Joel, hopefully you can enjoy the 10-team playoffs while I enjoy the 16-team playoffs.
As I was saying, once again, back from the other space time continuum with Justin Herbert, the whole criticism being since he didn't want to do the post game interview, cut the guy some slack. He was sacked like 7 or 8 times.
7.
He just had hand surgery. He's wearing a protective thing. On the other hand, had to at least probably have that slam on the ground a couple times. He had to push himself up. So I'm thinking he was in a lot of freaking pain. When you are in a lot of pain, the last thing you want to do is stand around and, oh, let me chit chat. You want to go somewhere and scream, take something for the pain, stick it in something maybe that can help it feel a little bit better. Last thing you want to do is stand around and jimmer jammer, and usually he's a pretty amicable chap. But yeah, when you're in pain, you don't want to sit around and yammer. So
Yeah.
cut Justin Herbert a little bit of slack because he just got his ass sacked about, I don't know, what, seven, eight
Yeah.
times that game because he has zero offensive line almost. So, yeah, that's my number two extended final thought with the hashtag technical difficulties. Cut Justin Herbert a little bit of slack this
And he
week.
did the interview. He wanted to go celebrate with his teammates and get his hand in some ice. I'm sure the two inspiration. He did it. He just was like, I'm trying to go do this, man. Why do I got to talk to you guys? Okay. Yeah, Joel. I know the 16 teamer did not work out for you.
Ugh.
Uh, just like
My
I think I
cup is
finished
going to
ninth in the
go.
10 teamer, and you finished 15th in the 16 teamer. We both had bad
Well,
seasons of those.
for the
How'd the
16
rest of it go?
Well, for the 16 teamer, my number one goal is don't finish last.
Well, you did that. I have no last place aspirations as well. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
16
weird.
team league was just brutal. I was just so happy for 5 seconds because I had a Cincinnati Bengals stack. Woohoo! I'm happy, and then shit.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes that works out. I had that. What's funny is I've got a league, 10-team league, just like the Yahoo league, 10 teams. I had the Chase Burrow stack in both. One of them is a ninth place team. One of them has a bye week this week. Fantasy football is done. Anyways, that's our time. I am Flying Ryan Gokers along with.
Joel Verlin, Tampa Motormouth, hopefully not going to be bounced out of the first freaking round in both leagues.
I've got too many leagues that I don't think there's a way I can be bounced out of all of them, but we'll see. I'm hoping to win a nice fat paycheck and several trophies this offseason. So only time will tell. But with that, good luck with your matchups. We'll be back in a couple days for the rest of week 15. And with that, we go.